First on the agenda is pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we got a public hearing for our general assistance ordinance. Somebody like to make a motion to open up the public hearing?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? See Bob anywhere? Bob still,
He's there, there he is.
there he is.
Microphone.
All right. All right. Any public comments?
Do you want to have Karen Ann
Sure.
do a little overview?
Short and sweet. These, the maximums that are in your packet, or should be in your packet. These, the chart,
Yes.
Yep. those get updated every year, and these are the updated maximums. And there is another, chart for the other update would be recovery residence housing maximums, which is in the bigger guide, which is just standard standard information that they hand down from the state.
So this
We
is,
just need
this
to-
comes down from the state and we're just required to
just
approve it
Adopting it.
to.
Yeah.
Be able to administer assistance.
Any questions? Pretty standard.
Anybody get any questions on the board? You all set, Bob?
Yes.
See any other comments? Somebody that can make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Ms. Bob. All right. Would somebody like to act on this ordinance, general assistance ordinance? Make a motion to approve it.
I make a motion to approve the general assistance ordinances as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. All right, move down to adjustments to the agenda. Is
I
there
have-
any?
I have one. I'd like to add a 10.4. We've got another application that we've approved to bring to the Board of Selectmen. For the planning board nomination.
I'd make the motion to make the change to the agenda.
I'll second. There's a second. Any other changes?
I just want to announce that our auditor review is being, they've requested to be moved to November 26th.
Another change? Seeing any other changes? Seeing none? All those in favor of the changes?
Hold on, we might have another, is Mark actually coming?
No, he
Oh.
said that he didn't think he was gonna be back in time, so he let the other people know that it was gonna be a different.
Okay, so the 11.1 will be off.
Okay.
Sorry, Max told us a little something we thought different.
I thought it was different too.
And I didn't get who,
To the next meeting, is that,
yes, yeah.
which will be November
14th, November 14th.
14th.
Wait,
Sure, I think the 7th.
no, that's not the 7th.
This election day, but
The 14th and the 28th. So we're moving the auditor to the 28th, not the 26th. I'm sorry.
Good now. All right, is there any citizens' comments? Being none. Select board comments? Bob?
I have none. Thank you.
John,
Just a couple quick things. Since our last meeting, I did attend the walkthroughs. Me personally, to see the Madomic High School and the Miller School. Just like I've always said, those schools need some work. They need some assistance. Please, everyone, hopefully we have good turnout on Thursday night, the public hearing at the high school at 6 o'clock. And that's all I have.
Mike,
I'll just second John's suggestion that we all get out and vote. It's a really important vote in more ways than one.
Will,
I just wanted to thank the fire department for the open house. That was great for all the kids and they're doing fire truck rides. And so we went on a lot of rides because June loved that. So it was quite a good turnout too. So thanks to them.
town manager's report.
I wanted to just remind everybody that the RSU public hearing on the bond is Thursday, October 26th at 6 p.m. at the high school. And I wanted to let everybody know that there is also state questions on the ballot, and absentee ballots are available until, Madam Clerk,
November 2nd. Thursday, November 2nd.
Thursday, November 2nd. So if you want an absentee ballot, you can go on the Attorney General's website. You can call the town office, or you can come here in person and you can actually vote here at the office. Or you can take it home and sit there and thoroughly digest everything that you've learned.
Information, state questions, and that voter guide.
And she also prepared an amazing voter guide that is available at the desk, at the front office desk, or online on our website. I just wanted to briefly share that we had our loss control visit. We have only one outstanding claim. And we met with our loss control rep from MMA, and all they did was say how wonderful Peg was. So Peg is doing a wonderful job with that, and we would like to thank her. I just also wanted to update you that we did get our iWork software, and Mark is training on that. That's our new software for our code enforcement officer. And you're also going to be hearing from Max at the next meeting about updating our maps and digitizing them, so that all of our maps are updated and digitized and in a system. And that's, other than, I should mention, we've gotten some questions about how to donate to our toy program. We will be posting a list on how to do that shortly, but we are accepting cash donations for our coat and boot program, and also our basket program. And our basket program is for the Christmas baskets. So if you would like to do that, information for that is on Facebook. And you are always more than welcome to drop a check off here at the town office. And we also are accepting donations for our emergency fund for fuel oil for the winter. So we're doing the best that we can to help. Our elves are already busy. As you walk out, you can see we're already starting to stockpile boots and coats and food and things like that. So
People want to sign up for the baskets. What's the deadline? Is it the 7th?
I believe it is November.
21st, what I thought I remembered saying.
Well, no,
For Thanksgiving.
no.
I think it was
Oh, the
one.
Christmas.
Yeah, no, I believe it's the 8th. I can check that and get back to you later in the meeting, but it's on all over our Facebook page. So if you need to know, I will find out. You can move on and I'll find that.
All right, we'll move on to consent calendar. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, unanimous. New business, Matt Weaver. First National.
Hey,
Bank.
everyone.
Thank you.
Hey.
Like me at
Come
the
right
podium.
to the- Absolutely. Front and center.
Very good. Well, I won't take up much of your time. I'm here because you asked me to assess the language in the policy. And, I've been doing this for almost 20 years working with municipalities, so I've seen a lot of policies. And, you know, the language in here is fine. It's very, it's really centers on what you do, your responsibilities, I think is most of this language, and it clearly defines, you know, your role in terms of, you know, what you can and what you can't do with, you know, with investments following, you know, the state's municipal investment guidelines. That's all good. Where I might suggest some added language is procedural guidelines related to the investment manager. Meaning, you know, what is the process for choosing an investment manager, and how often do you do that? So just quoting, you know, some language here from another town, and what they do, the investment of assets as stated will be delegated to professional investment managers. The investment managers shall have complete discretion to make purchases and sales of securities and to alter the ratio and types of securities in the portfolio within the established guidelines. Okay, so, you know, the main municipal investment statutes are very clear in terms of what a municipal employee can or cannot do, right? So, and that language is in there so that we don't have, I don't know if I think I've mentioned this before, but in Orange County, California, back in the 90s, you had, you know, a county that brings in, you know, billions of dollars a year in tax revenue, and that finance director, for lack of a better term, went rogue, bought things that they shouldn't have bought, and the county had to declare bankruptcy. So that the language that's, you know, in the municipal investment statutes are very clear about, you know, basically a municipal employee can't buy anything that has risk, right? You can go out and you can buy a CD, you know, or money market, but risk assets are off the table. But what the municipal investment statutes do say is that a municipality can hire an investment manager to do that role, right? To make those calls in terms of what the objective should be for the funds, you know, what the asset mix is. And you know, I think we can add some of that sort of procedural language to the town's policy. You know, how many years do you want to go before you go out to RFP, for instance? You know, is it a 5-year rule? Is it a 10-year rule? You know, if the advisor's doing a good job, do you not go through that process and save everyone the time? You know, all of those things. You know, I can talk with Peg about, and maybe bring you some language that you could adopt if you feel it's necessary to add to the policy.
What do you think the ratio should be?
The ratio, like the objective, the allocation?
Yeah, what do you think where are we?
Well, it depends on the time horizon for the funds. So long-term funds, perpetual funds, such as a cemetery trust, for instance, that you want to keep around forever, should be at the minimum a 50-50 allocation of stocks and bonds, but I would suggest a 60-40 to have a slight bias to growth over income for the long-term preservation of those funds. And that's a good segue, because my other item here that I wanted to bring up was the two objectives of the cemetery funds and the larger account, the town's trust funds. And we have a different objective for those funds. The trust fund there, it's done really well over the years, you know, close to $2 million. That's a balanced objective. That's 50-50. The cemetery funds have an income with growth objective, which is a 40-60, 40% stocks, 60% bonds. So there's some inconsistency in terms of the objective for those two funds, but I would argue that they are both long-term perpetual in nature. for the most part, and should be the same. They should at least be balanced. And I could make the argument they could be, you could move the allocation to growth with income for the long term. And it
So 60-40.
60-40 for
All three.
for the two, not, for the Barron scholarship, yes. Yep, the same. I would do the same 60-40. To make my point here, so the trust, the Waldeboro Trust Fund, the larger of the two accounts, since inception for this vendor here, so this is going back to 2011, has an annual return of 7%. That's the 50-50 balance objective. The cemetery trust, over that same period, basically investing in the same things, just the allocation is slightly different, 5.75. So, that makes sense. There's a correlation when the more you have in stock exposure, the higher return over the long term. You might have a little more volatility, but if you go out to Vanguard, Fidelity, any of these large research firms, and you look long term over 30, 40, 50 years, they've done studies that it's your allocation that is really what drives performance, and not picking one stock over another. As long as you've got more in stocks in one account over another, that likely that account is going to outperform over the long term. So I'm sure Bob, you might have an opinion on this, but I think for perpetual funds, a 60-40 allocation like you have for an endowment, like a Bowdoin endowment or MMA, they're all going to be in that 60-40 area, and I think that's appropriate for the town funds.
I think you're spot on, Matt. I agree. And you're leaving a lot on the table if you're investing too little in the stock market over time. It makes more sense to allocate 60% to that activity as opposed to 50%. I do have a question on the bonds and the maturities. It's my understanding that we do have some investments in bond funds.
Correct.
And there's some market risk there when interest rates go up.
Yes.
Wondering whether it's worth looking at maybe laddering the bond investments so that the maturities reflect movements in the market.
Yeah, I totally agree, Bob, and we've actually already started doing that. So
Oh,
we're
cool.
moving from the bond funds into individual fixed income investments to lock in these higher rates that we're seeing now. Because if we go, let's say we go into a recession next year, the Fed's going to have to reverse course. They're going to have to lower rates. And I want to be able to lock in these rates now and stay relatively short term, not go out more than, 3 or 4 years, but
Yep.
lock in some 5-6% rates and do that. We use the funds for liquidity reasons if I get a large distribution request. And we also have a inflation protected fund that we use from Vanguard as a hedge if inflation were to go the other way. So yeah, there are several funds that we'd probably like to keep in the portfolio, but we are moving towards a more laddered individual fixed income portfolio.
Have you looked at all at inflation protected treasuries?
Yes. Yep. It's part of we decided to go to zero on our allocation back in February of last year, but we had it on in 2022 when rates moved up, when the Fed started raising rates.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So this protects the town, is what you're saying. What you're proposing for changes.
For the policy, or it does for continuity reasons. I mean, Peg's only 35 years old, but she's not going to be here forever.
Well, I just kind of concerned.
What?
Pam, I thought she was 24.
So yeah, it's for continuity. The more language you have in the policy, if you have turnover, you want that.
And that's the concern I had.
Yeah.
Does it go the other way as well? Is if somebody comes in, a bank comes in, and we do an RFP and it's too good, kind of too good to be true, but maybe none of us are sitting on here. and understand this.
Yeah, they
And-
can, yeah.
You know, they say, well, we'll give you we'll guarantee you a 7 or 8% return guaranteed.
Nobody should ever guarantee you anything.
Right.
That's when you run, yeah,
But, you know, it may not be us that are sitting up here as well.
sure.
So how do we protect ourselves from that?
Well, in that process, you always want to ask for references. You want to ask for 3 or 4 other towns that have worked with that manager.
Our illustrious town manager may not be here. to
Yeah,
Want that off our 24-year-old Peg.
yeah,
Well, I think that part of his language he suggested was the process for choosing an investment manager. And I think there's some certification you need for that. Don't you?
well, typically towns usually work with banks because they know banks, right? Your operating funds are on the bank side anyway, right? And usually, so 90% of municipalities, I'm just throwing a number out there, but I'm sure it's close to that, are using traditional banks for their operating funds and you know, on the bank side, and then for long-term funds on the wealth management.
And the other thing to point out, Abden, is that the policy itself lends continuity to the process because it provides the investment parameters that not just this board, but every board going forward is going to operate by.
Yep.
And then the investment manager has the discretion to make the key decisions.
Yeah, so the next step would be to work with PEG and provide some language that you know, you can adopt, or you at least bring to the select board, and you can adopt if you feel it's appropriate for the policy.
And you can review that. Okay.
Anybody else got any questions?
I just want to say, when I first got here 6 years ago, I met with Matt. And he was wonderful. And he has been back every year for 6 years to give you an update.
Yeah.
And he is an excellent representative of the first.
Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Very good. Thank you all.
All right, moving on. Auditors will not be here. Economic Development Committee application. This wasn't what we had in here. This is for the planning board.
I've got that.
You've got the.
Yes, they've already met with him.
Yeah, Mike and I met with a new resident to the town, Conrad Winslow.
Okay.
Last week, he had put an application in for the Economic Development Committee.
Yep.
Comes from small town, fishing village town, similar to ours up in Alaska, comes here and he's very interested in helping grow the town economically as well as I think what's interesting about him is he wants to find out what make people tick so they can bring them to this town. What he said?
Sure.
So we both agreed that he's an individual that we should have on the committee. So I recommend that we recommend Conrad Wilson be appointed to the Economic Development Committee.
It was Winslow.
Yeah, Winslow. Conrad
Winslow, yes. Winslow,
What did I
yes.
say?
Wilson.
Wilson, Winslow.
Winslow,
Winslow, yeah.
Winslow.
Conrad Winslow,
Yeah, quite an impressive resume, actually. Went to Juilliard.
Oh,
He's a composer.
he's a
He's a
composer.
composer, yeah. Maybe we can get a Waldeboro
Yeah,
fight
we-
song
yeah.
or something.
I don't think that would be him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see, but maybe he can compose something for Waldeboro.
We did talk about Waldeboro Day too.
Cool. Is there any other discussion?
On that one,
So, no, would you like to make a motion on him?
make a motion that we appoint Conrad Winslow to the Economic Development Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Okay. Now on the
We,
application for our planning board.
yes, we also have an application here for planning board. John Heller, who was a number of years on the budget committee here in town. He would like to continue with his town service and join the planning board. John's been around the town a number of years. I can't tell you exactly how long. Was up in North Waldeboro. He's in the insurance business and he in loss prevention and all that type of stuff. So he'd like to to continue on his service with the planning board, and we recommend that he is able to join the planning board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
And just to keep talking, we are meeting with another young man on Thursday afternoon to talk about another new resident of the town. to talk about-
Michael Amico.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's my-
I knew you were here. We're gonna be Michael on Thursday, talk about the Sylvanians, joining the Sylvania committee.
Cool, awesome.
That's
Awesome.
great.
All right.
It is very nice to see people moving to town and wanting to volunteer.
And one, yeah, that's what I was telling Conrad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have.
11-1 for old business, is postponed till the 14th of November. Is there any other, so I guess we got,
Couple of items for the next, my very heavy agenda turned into a very light agenda.
okay, so November 14th, we got the code violations. And the 28th, we'll have the auditors, so. Does anybody else got anything for the 14th? I will not be here, I'll be in Colorado again. I thought it was gonna be on the 7th, so I figured I'll be here, but I won't.
Yeah, just one thing, for next meeting, did we pull the trigger on Constellation New Energy?
We have pulled the trigger.
I was just
Okay.
gonna pull that right here.
So can we get an update on that?
They are preparing our documents.
Great, thanks.
And that'll be on the 14th.
Yes.
Okay.
Technically, it'll be on the first that we start, but you authorized me at the last meeting
To do it, yeah.
to
Yeah,
proceed.
so you'll have another lucky nice John to run the meeting.
Just so you are aware, though, I did check with them to see what other communities were doing, and the 2-year is really where most communities are falling. Not
good
the
compromise.
4-year that I was like, oh, let's lock this in.
We also have the water utility.
Yes, we have a water utility discussion. On the 14th. And that's about rates and a couple of other issues from the water utility. company. Actually, it'll make you very happy.
Yeah.
What they're proposing, because you're not gonna see large rate increases. You're gonna be able to see incremental increases like it should have been.
Did I scream loud enough?
Yes, you did. And many others did too.
Good.
So, very much so. But the PUC has changed their rules and we're going to allow, is it a 1.5% increase
I think so, yeah. That was what they were talking about,
without going
without going to
without
a
going through the
formal rate
whole
setting procedure.
Rate setting procedure.
Yep.
Which then you're not gonna see 6 and 7%.
Yeah. Or 8%.
Or
whatever it was. A year,
I,
for 3,
I-
4 years.
yes,
Right.
we fixed that.
Yes, I know we did.
Fixed
I know we did, but we had to scream to do it.
Loud talking.
Loud talk, okay. We'll go with that. Oh, I guess there's nothing else. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Yeah, we're good.
Feel better, Bob.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too.